is Upbeat with beatboxer, musician, speaker, and show host, Parker Kane.
Hey guys, welcome to Upbeat, and thank you very much for being here and for listening in today or watching. If you're watching this on YouTube or on the website, parkerkane.co, thanks for watching. Last week, I released an episode interviewing Lee Swift from The Circle, and in that episode, he told me he would introduce me to Lisa, who was also on The Circle, for an interview, and he totally did that. So thank you, Lee, for making that introduction, because now here we are, episode 127 with Lisa Delcampo, and just like the last episode, I'm going to give you your official spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. Because if you have not seen season 2 of The Circle on Netflix, then what I'm about to say in introducing Lisa will be a spoiler, and I'm sure there will be other spoilers all throughout this episode. So now that that's said, let's introduce her. Lisa was a finalist on season 2 of The Circle on Netflix, which is the newest season, and it's out now, so definitely go check it out. And she was playing as a catfish character named Lance Bass. Yes, the same Lance that is from one of the most popular boy bands in the world, NSYNC, and in my opinion, the best boy band in the world. It's my favorite. Y'all know I started beatboxing because of Justin Timberlake. But yeah, Lisa was not playing as herself. She was playing as Lance. And you might be wondering, why was she playing as Lance Bass and not as herself? And we'll definitely cover that in this interview, but I'll give you the fast answer because it's part of introducing her. It's what she does for a living. She is Lance Bass's personal assistant. She's been working with him for years, and she claims to know him better than he knows himself. And in this episode, we cover Lisa's story, her original passions and career pursuits, how she first met Lance and started working with him, what she was doing before The Circle, and what she's doing after The Circle, especially with her new podcast, LOL with Lisa. So definitely go check that out. We talk about a bunch of other things too. This is just a really fun, laid back, casual episode. We fangirl a little bit over our love for NSYNC and boy bands and old 90s music. We talk about our love for dogs, and I actually show her my dogs here that live with me. So if you're watching this episode, then you'll get to meet my dogs, which is kind of fun. But anyway, let's not keep you waiting any longer. This is a very fun, casual episode with Lisa Delcampo from The Circle Season 2 on Netflix. Let's get into it. Well, Lisa, thank you so much for joining me on Upbeat. I appreciate you.
No, of course. I'm excited to be on.
I'm happy to have you. And, before we jump into things, I definitely want to introduce you as, a person more than just the Circle contestant to the audience, to those listening in. So If you don't mind sharing your story, more about yourself and maybe what you were doing before the Circle.
Yeah. So I've been in LA for about 15 years, and I work as Lance Bass's personal assistant. So I've been doing that before, and then before I started working for him, I was a publicist. So it kind of translates. People always ask, like, what do you do every day? Like, what's life as a personal assistant like? And I'm like, it's a lot of emails. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, it's not this glamorous job that everybody pictures, I think, when they think personal assistant. There's been amazing, times that I've got to do really cool things, but mostly it's emailing, scheduling, booking flights, stuff like that.
Taking Chip and Dale to the groomer. Taking Chip and Dale to the groomer.
That's so funny because that they specifically kept that soundbite. Because yes, I do that, but that's like once a month. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's so many more things that I do on a daily basis. But so I do take care of the dogs. If anything goes wrong at the house, like something breaks, I, get that all sorted out. And so I do, my job. I started a podcast myself. Just like on a whim. I've always kind of thought about it, but I was on Lance's for so long and his radio show for so long before the podcast. So it's just kind of something that I know about, and I can do, but by myself, it's like, well, as yours is by yourself too with the guests, but it's not as easy as having like a co-host where you can like tag team, I guess, but I'm getting more comfortable as I record. So that's good. I travel I like baking, reading, watching TV. I'm pretty boring.
No way. Well, you're pretty entertaining on The Circle.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, in so many years. I mean, I personally have never listened to that radio show you did with Lance, where you were Giggles as his sidekick. Yes. I learned that from Lee, actually. But it's so interesting, just that career path, so unlike what you normally hear. So I'm curious, like, how did you, first of all, get into becoming a publicist? Like, was that a passion of yours? And then how did you end up meeting Lance?
So my first major in college was psychology, just because it's so fascinating to me, like why people behave the way they behave. And, psychological things affect so many things, like what we buy, what we watch. I mean, it's fascinating. But then I found out how much math is required, like statistics specifically, and I'm not good at math. So I was like, nope, don't want to do that. So then I was like, maybe law, like criminal law. And I really loved my law courses, but I was like, I mean, I'm not going to want to do courtroom stuff. And so I was like, what else could I do? And I was, thinking something in entertainment. And I was reading through entertainment jobs, and publicity just like grabbed me. And I was like, that I could do. So I got my degree in public relations, and I moved to LA for a year to intern, but I am working 2 part-time jobs, wasn't making any money. So my friend and roommate was like, what about Vegas? And I was like, I've been there a couple times. So yeah, let's try it. So we tried it, and we both got jobs in PR like right away. And that was great. And so I worked there 2004, and then 2005, I met Lance. He came to a show opening that my PR firm was helping with, and we became friends. And then like 6 months later, his assistant was moving on. And so he said, would you want to move back to LA and work for me? And I was like, all right. And I've been with them ever since.
Nice. Well, that's so cool. So quite the journey getting there.
Yes, it is quite the journey. But I thought I would do it for a couple years. And then like, I never thought of it as like a stepping stone to another job in entertainment, because I was like, I don't want to do PR ever again. It burned me out in 2 years. And so I was like, you know what, maybe I'll do this assistant thing for a while. And then maybe I'll move back to Everett, Washington, where I'm from, and like, get a regular job and, whatever. But that just hasn't been the case. So,
yeah. Well, and so I know you're a very well-networked, well-connected person. And I'm just curious, before The Circle, did you apply just like anyone else would, or did you already kind of have your foot in the door?
Well, so I had a birthday party right before COVID. It was March 7th of 2020. And a friend of mine, Joey, brought his friend Raphael, and we were all talking about TV reality shows specifically, because I watch a lot of Bravo. But I was like, and there's a show, The Circle, that I love, and blah, 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 blah. And so Jeff was like, oh, Raphael, he casts it. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, would you really want to be on? And I'm like, absolutely. Wow. And Lance was there too. And he's like, she has to go on. And so, yes, I got my foot in the door that way, but you still have to audition. Like, I wasn't guaranteed to be on it just because of that.
Yeah. Well, and I'm sure there's, so thousands, if not more, like tens of thousands of applications. So, and only a few people that they can choose. So they really have to be selective, like with what's going to actually make good TV,
Right. And also, like, I'm sure, I don't know this for sure, but like, I'm sure that they take into account the other people that are going to be on the show to see like how the personalities are going to match. Cause you want drama, obviously, but like, you also want nice parts and, whatever. So, that definitely plays a part.
Yeah. Well, and I've seen both seasons, huge fan of The Circle. And I, this, no harm to anyone else, but I just loved season 2 so much more. I don't know if it was just because it was more relatable because we've all been in lockdown or what, but I loved season 2.
Yeah. And also like the first season, I feel like it's new and there's kinks that like haven't, you know, because they're also trying to kind of see like what works and what doesn't. So I think that things get better as they go on, oftentimes.
Got it. Yeah. That's so cool. Well, it was awesome watching you on the circle. What has it been like since the circle? I mean, we've now talked about what you were up to before and kind of that you were on it, but since the circle, I mean, you're blowing up in clout, I guess, on Instagram and social media and everybody following you. And what is that like going from, you know, quote unquote, the assistant to a celebrity to now, you know, you are the influencer, not just within the circle, but in real life now?
Yeah, I'm so uncomfortable with that term influencer for me because I'm like, when I think of an influencer, I think of like the girls, like, you know, wearing their bikinis on like yachts or hawking like flat tummy tea or whatever. And it's like, that is not me. Like, props to all those girls, but like that, it's so to hear that about me, I'm like, no. But I was private before, like all my social media was private, and I had 1,200 followers maybe. So that was weird because when you get cast, you have to go public, right? So I'm assuming it's so like they can monitor that you're not saying, hey, I'm going to go on the circle. I don't know, but like that's my speculation. But yeah, so that has been crazy, like the climb of it. And like this, it's so funny. Like I did a joke celebratory when I got 10,000 followers. Like my friend badly photoshopped my face on like this girl, like with champagne and the balloon behind her. And I don't know. I was like, I just like to be silly on my social media. You know what I mean? It's like, I like to talk about stuff that I like and that is relatable to people, like chain restaurants. Like I love chain restaurants, you know, stuff like that. I don't try to take myself too seriously.
Cool. Well, and I talked a little bit about this with Lee as well last week, but I guess before going on the show, did they take like a deep dive into your social media and like audit you and kind of do that? And then after the show, do you have any restrictions, I guess, on what you can and can't post?
I mean, there's certain stuff, like things about the show, like insider things that like we're not obviously supposed to talk about or post about. But so before they do a social media check, like on all of your stuff. But like at that point, I had erased my Twitter because Twitter is one of those things, like I think I'd been on since about 2008 or 9. And it's one of those things where you can't explain yourself on Twitter, right? Like unless you're firing off, you know, tweet after tweet after tweet. So I'm like, God forbid I like wrote something stupid in 2009 that's going to come back to haunt me. Like I couldn't think of anything, but I was like, who knows? And especially like since times have changed, right? What was funny in 2009 doesn't necessarily translate to what's funny in 2021. So I just deleted it. I was like, I don't care to go back and read them. So I'm just going to delete that. So we did that. Facebook's always been pretty calm because that's more for my family and my friends at home. And that was just private for a bit. And now it's public and now it's back on private. But Instagram, I archived every photo. I think I had like 4 up by the time I got off the show. Like I went through and deleted not deleted, I archived those. So I kind of started with the clean social media slate.
Yeah. Well, and I'm so excited to see where you're going now. Especially with your podcast. I've checked out all 3 episodes so far. I think your last one was with Courtney, right?
Courtney. Yeah. It's so fun.
So what prompted the starting a podcast and where do you see that going?
So, you know, I've, like we talked about before, I'd always like, you know, been with Lance in a sidekick role, like on his serious show where I was Giggles. And then he did a podcast and I was on that time to time. I wasn't the co-host, but I was on it a lot. So it just seemed like natural, you know, a natural progression because Lance isn't able to do his podcast anymore because he's super busy. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to try. And also like me and his husband did, I every Friday there was an episode called Reality Roundup where we talk about Bravo shows mostly. So it was like I kind of got my feet wet not by myself, but like being a co-host instead of a sidekick. And I was like thinking about starting a podcast, but I kept talking myself out of it. And I'm like, no. And my friends, Brett and Marnie, were like, just do it. Don't think about it. Just do it. And I'm like, but I don't know how to do this. And I don't know how to do that. And they were like, you'll figure it out. And Brett, my friend, also has a podcast. So he's like, I will help you with whatever you need. So we conceptualized kind of the idea like on a Friday, and I recorded on a Wednesday. So it was just like, bang, whatever. But I do it all myself. Like I don't have sponsors. I don't have a network. I just do it all myself. So,
yeah.
And just, we'll see what happens. But I want to start also like a fun blog, like where I rate chicken fingers or like talk about my vacations or like talk about my favorite TV shows and books and things I think are funny. Just like a fun, silly, like whatever.
Yeah. And do you think that would go under the same name, LOL with Lisa?
I mean, that's tough because it's not all going to be like laughy stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know, it might be like an offshoot. I'm not real sure yet. It's not up. It's still like, I'm still trying to figure it out. But yeah, and someday I would love to write like an autobiography. Like that would be fun because I love reading so much. I just think like a fun like autobiography would be exciting. I mean, that's probably not for another like 10 years because, I feel like I'm too young to write an autobiography yet. Like I'm not like a celebrity where like these epic things have happened to me. It's just going to be like my journey in life.
Yeah. Love it. Well, and I guess as far as the podcast goes and maybe your future blog or YouTube channel style thing, can listeners anticipate or expect a co-host, or is that something you're planning on, is maybe grabbing a co-host?
I don't know because my podcast is really like, I'm going through all the circle contestants right now, but then it's going to be people that I genuinely know, right? So it's kind of like they're a co-host, but like being interviewed at the same time. I'm not just going to go after like the random celebrity because I don't know you. Maybe eventually if I keep it going like way down the road, I would go that way. But, so no, not a specific co-host per se, but they all will be people that are in my life genuinely.
Got it. Well, that's so awesome. And you, like I said, you are well networked, well connected. I'm sure there's going to be incredible guests in that lineup anyway.
Yeah. I hope so. We'll get Lance for sure. So yeah.
Well, and that's just mind-boggling to me too. Just even that I'm speaking to someone right now who knows Lance, because it's hard for me to even fathom that. I'm sure you get that all the time, but and the listeners know this because I've shared my story before. But I'm a professional beatboxer, and I actually took on beatboxing when I was 9 years old, watching NSYNC because Justin Timberlake beatboxed. Yes. And so NSYNC has always had kind of this special place in my heart where I'm like, I wouldn't be as passionate about any of the things that I do right now had they not inspired me as, a little kid.
Oh, I love that. Oh, that's really sweet. I think that they definitely, for like our generation, they did make such an impact on so many people's lives. I mean, and you can tell that still today by like, I didn't work with Lance in the NSYNC days. I came on in 2006. But I saw it when they got their star on the Walk of Fame, how many fans showed up. Like it broke the record for all time, most fans at a star ceremony. And just the dedication still. They haven't made new music since 2001. And those fans are still as passionate today as they were back then. And I think that says a lot about their music and their personalities and how they are as a band. Like, that's amazing.
It really is, because they weren't even, I'm not going to understand the years or remember the years here, but they weren't even a band that long, I don't think.
No, I mean, they started, it's either 95 or 96, but in Germany. So we didn't get our like big NSYNC explosion until 98. So it's like that's not that many years, 98 to 2002, I think. Like that's not long to have made such an impact, you know, but they put out great music and they were lovable and fun and like didn't take themselves too seriously. It's like, I don't know. It was the perfect storm of things for them.
Yeah, it definitely was. And they inspired so many people. Like you said, impact was immense.
Yeah.
In 3 to 5 years. That's insane. But it's cool too now after to see that they've all kind of got such strong personalities. They're all doing their own things as individuals. And it's cool to see them as individuals too, and not just as a boy band, you know?
Right. It's just like they all, you know, are successful in their own right and doing what they, you know, other passion projects that they've wanted to do. So, but you know, I speak, I think, for so many other people when I say we want our reunion. We want our reunion tour.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but no plans in the works. But you know, it's like never say never. You never know. So hopefully someday we'll get it.
Yeah, cross your fingers. That'd be amazing. I know Backstreet Boys did something, but it's kind of interesting too with that whole topic. We talk about impact and how the fans are showing up for NSYNC so many years later. They're there's kind of this divide of like, are you Backstreet Boys or are you NSYNC? And like, it's a thick line.
It is. It's like you had to pick which one. And that's something that younger people today didn't get. Cause like, I think the biggest boy band, like in my recent memory after NSYNC is One Direction. Right. But they didn't have a rival. Like they didn't have like a proper rival where you were either One Direction or like The Wanted. Remember The Wanted? They like were their, I think, rival band at first, but then they like kind of went away. So you didn't get that like whole like battle of the fans and the rivalry. Like there's something to be said about that. That's like so fun and silly. And like, you know, I don't know. I love a good Backstreet versus NSYNC, battle.
Well, the times have changed too. Like all those boy bands, they dressed a certain way. They did all that crazy dance moves. It's a full production when they performed. And that's not exactly how it is anymore.
No, I mean, I remember I went to a One Direction concert. I don't even know when it was. They'd been together like, let's say 3 years. And I knew some of their songs, but like never saw their videos. And I was like, I asked my friend, I'm like, well, when do they start dancing? And she's like, oh, they don't dance. I'm like, they don't dance? They're a boy band and they don't dance at all? And she's like, not at all. And I'm like, oh, poor kids today. Because that was like the fun of it, like learning those, like learning Bye 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 or learning like Backstreet's Back All Right. Like that was fun and like added to the whole magic of the time.
Yes, 1000% agree. Well, very cool. I'm sure you and I could talk about boy band stuff at NSYNC for a very long time.
Definitely.
But to kind of bring things back in and talk about the circle and your experience there, just overall, what was like your favorite thing about being a part of the circle?
I mean, the friendships that I've made is a big one. Cause I mean, I talked to those guys, we're all on a group chat and like, it's really fun because I was talking to Delisa before this and, you know, there's only a handful of people that have ever experienced what we experienced. And there's even less, and it's actually just us that experienced it during quarantine. So we got like a double crazy experience. So definitely like the friendships I made. I think also I'm not comfortable in front of a camera. Like it's not my personality. Like I have so many friends that audition, you know, that are actors. And I'm like, I would rather swim in a pit of snakes than do an audition. Like I'm just not, it sounds weird, but I'm pretty shy. Like and I'm very self-conscious, you know, about my appearance and about like how I'm going to come across. And so that for me, it was like, okay, I did it. It wasn't that bad. You know, so I learned to be a little more confident in myself, if that makes sense. So yeah, those were the two like biggest good like good things that happen to me.
Yeah. Well, and so I know too, just from doing my research on you,
Mm-hmm.
like that you've struggled before, like with anxiety and things like that. And I can
Mm-hmm.
relate. I struggled deeply with anxiety and some really bad depression in 2015. But the cool thing is when you have a platform like that is you're now I know it's a hard word for you, but you're an influencer to all those other people out there who experience that. So that's really cool. And that's exactly where I was going to head next too, just as we wrap up here with, what would you say to people who maybe are terrified to start that podcast or to apply for the circle or to take those kinds of steps, who are just, they inside, they kind of want to, but like, they're just hesitant?
Just do it. Like, just do it. Don't think about it. Because if I would have thought about it, my podcast never would have happened. I can talk myself out of things so easily. And I get like, back to anxiety, I get really overwhelmed with stuff. Like, so many things seem like this insurmountable task that I just can't do, from like doing laundry, let's say, or doing something fun, even like planning a trip. It's like, it just overwhelms me, and people with anxiety, and I probably depression too. You're going to be that way. You're going to talk yourself out of it. You're going to think of all the bad things that could happen. It's like, but what about the good things that could happen? And what's the worst that could happen, right? Like, nobody listens to my podcast, and it's like, yeah, it hurts and it's rejection, but whatever, I'll start something new. Or like, you just have to pick yourself back up, and like, you'll figure it out, and good things are going to come your way, no matter how they get there or how you do it. It's like, it's going to be okay. I guess that's like what my mom always said too. She's like, it's all going to be okay. It's not the end of the world. It's not that big of a deal. And I'm like, okay, that's true. Like, I struggle. I'm a people pleaser. And so I really struggle if somebody doesn't like me. That's all I can think about. Everybody could love me, but one person, and I fixate and I get obsessed about it. And I remember my mom saying, do you like everyone? And I'm like, well, no. I mean, like, who likes everyone? She's like, there you go. Like, obviously, there's going to be people that don't like you for whatever reason. You're too bubbly. They don't like your hair color. She's like, but you just like, you have those good friends and you have family that support you. Focus on that. Oh, dog.
Yeah, I was just going to end with that too. I've got 3 dogs in here right now. So.
Oh, I love dogs. I love them.
I was gonna say, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off with the barking, but
it's fine. No, I was done. I was just, I want to tell people, just keep going. Like, I never thought sitting in my bedroom when I was 13 years old that I was going to be working for one of the biggest pop stars of our generation, and B, on a show on Netflix, right? Like, I didn't even aspire to do that back then. So it's just like, do it when the urge hits you, just do it. Just like, don't talk yourself out of it, because good things will come.
I absolutely love that. Thanks so much for sharing that and for sharing your story. Again, we could talk for hours, I'm sure.
I know.
I'm so grateful for the time that I have you here. And if you want, do you want to see these dogs? I'll call them over.
Do I? I love dogs.
So this is Coco.
Coco, what kind of dog is that?
She's
oh my gosh,
Aussie Doodle, Australian Shepherd and Poodle.
Oh, she's so cute. I love dogs.
She's actually my mom's, but COVID puppy. When lockdown happened, my mom went and got her. And then this is my dog Jessie.
Let's see Jessie. Oh my gosh, is he a Shiba?
I actually don't know. She's got she's like a total mutt.
Well, she's beautiful.
Tons of breeds. They actually think she has some fox in her and some German Shepherd. And
I can see that on both.
Yep.
Oh, she's so cute.
She's almost 13 years old. So I've had her for 11 years.
Wow. Jessie does not look it. She's aging well.
Piper. And then the last one.
Piper?
Yeah, Piper is Coco's actual sister. Let's see here.
Oh, I love that. It's like Chip and Dale, Lance's dogs. They're actual brothers. Wiley one of them. Oh my gosh. Oh, he looks like Lance used to have Australian Shepherd Beagles, and he looks like Foster. What same coloring? Like, that makes me miss him. Oh, he's so cute.
Yeah. So Piper and Coco are.
Wait, is Piper a boy or a girl?
They're all 3 girls.
Oh, girls.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, girls seem easier than boys because the boys pee everywhere. Like they try to like fight and mark their territory. And it's like, Chip and Dale are a nightmare. But I love, they're the most lovable dogs. But yeah, they like to mark.
It's been amazing having those 2 though, since COVID and everything, and just watching them grow up. Like they were pretty much our entertainment. So,
I love that. Where are you located?
I'm in Boise, Idaho.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm from Washington State. So,
nice.
You know, kind of your neighbor. I remember I've not been to Boise, but I went to Moscow because I had a bunch of friends that went to Washington State and Pullman. So you drive over the border and go to the mall over there.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's my only Idaho experience. But I hear Coeur d'Alene is beautiful.
Yeah, I've actually never even been to Coeur d'Alene.
No,
I'll have to check it out. It's up north. I'm way down south. So
down south.
Yeah, but it's incredible. It just the dogs, the energy they brought to us, like going through this experience and everything. Well, Lisa, I've got this last kind of fast segment I do, kind of like what you do with your LOL Lisa.
Yeah.
I've got a thing called the upbeat seat.
Okay, I like that.
And so I just put the experts in the upbeat seat and talk about just stuff that makes them upbeat. So to start, Lisa, what makes you upbeat?
So my things are weird. I love, as I talked about with Courtney, animals that talk, like whether it be on commercials, even cartoons, like that would be my dream come true. Can you imagine if all your dogs just started chit chatting with you?
Oh my gosh.
What a dream. So, I love that. I love comedy, anything like funny, whether it be memes or stand up or I don't know. I love that. And just being around funny friends, like friends that are great storytellers, that makes me really happy because I'm not good at telling like a story from point A to point B. I get sidetracked on 50 different things. So a good storyteller that tells funny things, I love that. Oh, and impressions. Impressions is another thing I love.
I think you might have left out chicken fingers and Diet Coke. And
okay, well, those things are just a given in my life. Diet Coke, yes. Was it today I said it? Or no, it was yesterday at work. I was like, this Diet Coke makes me so happy. And Lance is always like, it's so bad for you. It's going to kill you. And I'm like, okay, I haven't drank in so long. I don't smoke. I don't really eat that healthy, but I'm like, just give me my Diet Coke. Like, and let's not talk about it anymore.
Who is your number one influence or inspiration?
Well, my parents are really they really inspire me, just because they're good people and they're, fantastic. And my sister too. But as far as a celebrity goes, Taylor Swift for sure. Because she's just so cool and she's so smart with her business. She's an excellent songwriter. She's so sweet. She's definitely an inspo for me. Yes.
I would agree with that. And that's the next question is, what music do you listen to? So it might be the same answer.
Pop. Only pop. I honestly I'll dabble in pop country, which is really kind of pop. But if you saw my iTunes list, it's all boy bands, Taylor, Britney, Christina Aguilera, that is pretty much all it is. Old rap too, Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre. I love that stuff, or hip hop from the 80s or 90s, I guess. That's my favorite.
Dang. So you're probably well aware with what beatboxing is then.
Yes, I totally. Well,
That's
I mean,
so cool.
I saw it in concert several times with Justin. So
Right.
yeah, that's such a talent. My friend, do you know Blake Lewis?
I've never met him, but I know of him. Yeah, from American Idol.
Yeah, he is a big beatboxer too. So yeah, that's that talent I could never do.
What is your favorite word? It's a hard one.
Anyways, I mean, I say so many things a lot. I say like way too much. It's awful. But like as far as I know, like I love the word like mittens, earmuffs. Like those are just like words that make me happy. I actually learned this from Lance. Do you know the most beautiful like phrase? It's actually a couple words in the English language. The most pleasing to the ear.
What is it?
Cellar door.
Cellar door?
Yeah. It is nice to say though, right? Like cellar door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never would have thought.
Yeah, me either. He's been spouting that fact for like 10 years. But I mean, giggles, giggly. I like that word too.
What is your favorite TV show other than The Circle?
I mean, I am like such a Bravo-holic, like all the housewives. Of course, The Crown. The Crown is one of my like very, very favorites. I love British procedurals. Those are like, you can't go wrong.
Love it. And then lastly here, what's your favorite social media and where would you like to send people to connect with you? Instagram
is definitely my favorite because like I said, Facebook is for my family. It's private. Twitter, I don't really go on Twitter much. Instagram, I do. I'm dabbling in TikTok, but it's hard. Like it took me 2 hours to make a 1-minute video. And it wasn't even like, I wasn't even in it. Like maybe for a second, it was just a succession of like pictures. It was my anxiety post. I don't know. I posted like on, like Mental Health Action Day or something. And that thing took me 2 hours. I'm not even exaggerating. It was 1 minute. I'm like, oh, so I need to get better at that. But Instagram.
Okay, awesome. And what is your Instagram? Just so we have it on the video here.
Yeah, it's Liseed, Liseed. So it's like Liseed, but in college, my girlfriends call me Liseed. So that's like where it came out. I wish I would have gotten my name, but like, you know, I didn't.
Sounds good. Well, we'll close out here with some beatboxing. I'm actually going to beatbox your name for you real quick.
Ooh, I thought you were going to make me beatbox. And I was like, no, I'm going to leave it to the professional.
Yeah.
Go for it. Yay.
Lisa D. Lisa.
Oh my God, that was so amazing. How do you know, like, because obviously when you sing a song, you read music, right? Does it just come to you on the spot or do you already know what you're going to do?
Well, I mean, fortunately and unfortunately for me, I've been doing it for so long that I just get kind of stuck in my routines.
Right.
But when it's not just like something I regularly do, then it's just, freestyle, whatever comes, just kind of like what a rapper, like when you give them a word and they start rapping, it's very similar to that where you just go.
Oh, that's so cool. That's such a talent. I love that. That was fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you. And thanks so much for being on UPBEAT. I appreciate you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there you have it, my interview with Lisa Delcampo. We'd love to connect with you. You can find me on my website, parkerkane.co, parkerkane.co, and Lisa on her Instagram at LISEED. That's at LISEED. If you enjoyed the episode, guys, or got value from this episode, then please share it with a friend and leave an UPBEAT review. Or if you're watching this on YouTube or on the website, then leave us a comment. Let us know what you got from this interview. That is always super appreciated. So thank you for that. You guys are the best. I'll see you next week.
This is Upbeat with beatboxer, musician, speaker, and show host, Parker Kane. Subscribe at parkerkane.co.